Hi everybody, today I thought it would be really nice to show you some of the things that I have in my store cupboard and that I buy at the shops each week to make sure that I can cook healthy recipes. When I talk through the things here, what I want to say is that I'm concentrating on brain health, well-being, in terms of mental health. Obviously, all foods have 101 different mechanisms within the body. You know, they might help the heart, they might be really good for the kidneys, the liver, but what I'm concentrating on here is how they affect our mental well-being, and especially in this time where we can sort of get all the help we need. So my first category, I think, is oily fish. And I've talked about this before, about how oily fish is so good for us, and it is full of those omega-3 fats that the body can't make, but our brain is made up of so much of it. And so without these, it's really hard to have good brain function. I mean, I don't know if you remember a while ago where omega-3 fats was linked to ADHD. Nothing has been absolutely proven here, but a lot of anecdotal advice is give it a go and see if it helps. So if it's going to help with things like that, it might help with concentration. It definitely has been linked with depression and mood. So you've got your oily fish. So we've got sardines here, which I love, mashed on toast. You could put them through a pasta dish. And then I've got some mackerel here in a tin. If you can mash that with some cream cheese and some dill or some parsley, you could have a really nice mackerel pate, mackerel spread for your crackers. My next category is whole grains. So trying to eat things that aren't your processed version, the white version. I mean, when I have a curry, I love white rice. So I absolutely love this kind of rice, which is a mixture of basmati rice and wild rice. So you've got the mixture of the white rice, which is kind of quite comforting and fluffy, and then you've got the black rice, which is going to have much more fibre in it and more phytonutrients, which are nutrients that the body needs. Here I've got pasta. I like brown rice pasta or whole wheat pasta. Again, sometimes I do eat white pasta, but I try to have this in. Porridge oats, fantastic, really good. And popcorn. Popcorn is an amazing snack because it is absolutely full of fibre. So what do all these things have in common? What they do is they are needed to feed our gut bugs. Our gut bugs help us, they make some of our vitamins for us, which is just amazing. And they also make some neurotransmitters which then influence how our brain is. So they make serotonin, which works in how your gut processes food, so how the motility, how it works through the gut, and it also then sends messages to the brain, and the serotonin in our brain has been linked with mental well-being, how we feel about ourselves. So these are all fantastic in terms of fibre and in terms of how they feed our gut. Porridge oats, easy, use them in flapjacks, you can use them in cakes. I've just done a waffle recipe and pancake recipe with them in it. Overnight oats, which there's a recipe on the that's linked there for the porridge oats. Popcorn, you know, a bit of melted butter, a sprinkle of sea salt, delicious as a snack. Our rice, I love when I'm going to work. I make up a batch of rice, some roasted vegetables, and I toast some seeds, and I make a salad out of that, and I take that to work. And pasta is you know, there's so many different ways you can have pasta. The next one is pulses, and it's for the same reason. Low in calories, low in fat, and really high in fibre. Really good for those gut bugs that are going to make you feel well. Berries. We're not at berry season yet, and berries can be really expensive. What I absolutely adore about berries is the colours. They've got so many health benefits, and you can buy them frozen, which means they retain the nutrients, and they're a bit cheaper to buy like that. Studies have shown that children who ate 200 grams of blueberries did better on things like spelling tests, memory tests. Adults that had different types of berries did better in terms, again, of their memory and flexibility, so how quickly you move between tasks. And at the moment it feels like everything's changing so quickly. It's such a fantastic thing to add into your toolkit. I've got here herbs and spices. I've just picked a few out. I've got so many of them. There is much lower rates of dementia in countries that have spices in their everyday food. So if you look at places like India, they've got much lower rates of things like dementia. So these are the ones I use probably the most regularly. I've got some cinnamon here, I'll add that to my breakfast, pancakes, porridge, mixed herbs, anything like pasta, any sort of Italian-y dishes. Cumin and turmeric will make a really nice curry dish. I can put them through scrambled eggs, I can add them in with my chickpeas. And here I've got some smoked paprika, which is one of my very, very favourite. I buy the sweet one. Pair that with your cumin seeds and you've got anything Mexican. And I think, no, I've got my second last category, so I've got my oils here. So I've got olive oil, which has been linked to really good health in terms of our blood flow, our arteries and our veins. And you imagine what goes on, you know, the amount of blood flow that has to get to the brain, and people who have little bleeds in the brain, little strokes, things like that. You want to keep everything flexible. You want to keep those, have all those antioxidants there to make everything be working in a healthy way. So olive oil is great, can't be heated too high, so perhaps not to be used for things like frying, but can be used to drizzle over things. And I was lucky, this one was my birthday present. I've got coconut oil here. Coconut oil has been linked to all sorts of health benefits, but I like the taste of it. It's got quite a high smoke point, and so you can fry with it, and it makes lovely crispy popcorn, and it makes nice pancakes. And then I've got cider vinegar, and this one is the raw organic cider vinegar, so it's got what they call the mother in it. So it means that it hasn't been heat treated and pasteurized, so it's still got all the all the nutrients in it. Really good for your digestion, which is going to help the nutrients that you need get where they need to go. So again, you can make a really nice salad dressing with that. I sometimes add that into my pesto, and there's a recipe coming for pesto, and really lovely. Last category, I'm going like a steam train here because I really want to get all of these in, are nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds, there was a study that was done over 15 years, so a really long study on food, and people who ate a handful of nuts 5 times a week had better cognitive health over those 15 years, and definitely in 15 years. Cognitive health is things like our depression, anxiety, mood disorders, how we feel, but it's also things like memory, and things like how we sort of function in day-to-day tasks, like how well we can manage to switch from, you know, doing one task to another task. And when life is quite demanding, and we're learning so many new skills at the moment, things like Zoom, things like Microsoft Teams, Skyping people, when things are changing, we really need to keep our brain functioning as well as we can. Studies had shown that women who ate a handful of nuts or seeds or both 5 times a week ended up with better mental health over a longer period of time. So I've got here walnuts, and I just love the way walnuts are the shape of your brain. They're like little brain shapes. So if you're ever wondering what a walnut is good for, it shows you. It's a little nut. I've got a packet of mixed seeds here. These are great. You can toast them if you want, sprinkle them on salad. You can have them on your cereal. You can have them on porridge. So these are really handy. But you can also get nut butter. So this is really delicious, peanut butter, and I put this into my overnight oats or my porridge, or we just have peanut butter on toast, and it's a great way to add a bit of protein. So if you made some soup and you wanted to whiz it up, you could add in a big dollop of peanut butter, or you could add a handful of ground almonds, and that just adds a bit of protein to your soup, which is going to make you feel fuller for longer, and it's going to stop those blood sugar spikes. And lastly, I've got some tahini here, which is ground up sesame paste, and it's one of your ingredients in hummus. So it's a really lovely thing to have in. You can add it to, there's lots of recipes for biscuits with hummus in it. Well, not hummus in it, sorry, with tahini in it, or you can make a dressing out of it. And again, sesame seeds especially are absolutely full of calcium, so brilliant for those little growing bones. So if you wanted to make some of your own hummus, if you've got any little ones at home, and give them some things to dip in them, then you're boosting their calcium for the day. So here we go. This is I've put my berries back in the freezer, but everything else is still here. So these are some of the things I buy every week, or I buy when I need them to have in the house to sort of boost my meals and make them as healthy as I can. I hope this has been useful, and please let me know if you want me to go into more detail or do some recipes that involve some of these ingredients, and I can do that for you.